Okay, round 2 coming up with black-green. Turbo Delve, whatever you want to call it. Black-green Delver, which is almost as accurate of a description as blue-red Delver when Delver of Secrets is like the... Is it a brew? Yeah, I would say so. I mean, someone 5-0'd with it and I copied the deck list, but it is not yet a fully established deck in the format. This is likely a mulligan, but I like checking my odds, not only for figuring out whether it could be worth keeping here, but also so that if in the future I come across this type of situation again, where's my black-green? There. If I come across this type of situation again, I have a better feeling for how likely I am to hit the 9th here, and then I don't have to do the calculations like in a tournament or something. Black-green Delver, yeah, definitely. So we have 19 and that has to be way too low. But yeah, it's probably like the same 50 to 60%-ish range that we previously had with the all-in-red deck. Like slightly higher, but none of the graveyard enablers even really help us find our second land. They just do a great job of finding the third land, so looks like a mulligan. This seems reasonable. Yeah, and third land also seems like a reasonable addition, when we can already use it to pay a little bit more mana for our Hooting Mandrills, build up towards Blastoderm, maybe go commune with the gods into Deadweight, so it seems like a pretty nice setup, though if there's something hyper aggressive they might punish me for my interaction only coming online on turn 3 and my creatures only coming online on turn 3. With this hand I would hope that they're on mono lightning bolts. Yeah, that seems like a decent thing to be facing, though maybe the hand is slow enough that if they're mono lightning bolts but burn, they end up killing me before I do anything. We will see. Yeah, that's true. It's similar to black-green Tortured Existence, but you don't have Spore Frogs and Fume Spitters, and instead you're going big with creatures, so yeah, it just tries to be as streamlined as possible in the delve aspect of it and doesn't bother with any type of utility. Like the only utility in the deck is filling up your graveyard more quickly. Okay, so Tron has to be like a decent thing to be facing with this draw, but I guess if they counter my commune with the gods, I'm actually kind of stranded here if this runs into Condescend or Prohibit. So I think I definitely want Vessel. It's a little bit close between Werebear and Vessel of Nascency, but Deadweight is never the pick, and my hand both needs a 4th land and also needs multiple ways of enabling the graveyard, so that seems like a pretty easy pick, even though it is clunky with my current setup. I don't really want to be spending my turn 3 on it. I would rather run out a Hooting Mandrills, and then maybe my turn 4 involves playing the Vessel, cracking the Vessel, and then getting an untapped green store so that I can play the second Hooting Mandrills. That would be quite the beatdown. Going Mandrills into Blastoderm into Blastoderm puts a lot of pressure onto my opponent. Turn 1 stalking, what? Not sure what you mean. Oh yeah, that's also true. Oh, exclude, that is not good for me. Well, any kind of counter was not going to be great for me, but yeah. My deck is definitely pretty weak to exclude as a card. So it's probably lower risk to just run out Hooting Mandrills instead of trying to fill my graveyard. With this, because then with the Vessel I would have to find an untapped green source for it to work out, so can at least develop these Terramorphic. This time I'm pretty certain I want the extra green stars. Last game I got the extra green stars because I expected these type of Vessel of Nascency, Blastoderm, my bottlenecks to come up, and then somehow I had a Gurmic Angler deadweight bottleneck where I got punished pretty severely for not having triple black on the board, so the mana base is pretty demanding, even though the spells themselves are pretty low in color requirements. You're just casting so many spells in the same turn that you end up needing all the colored mana that you can have. So they do have Tron available now, so basically everything going perfectly for my opponent. They have Prohibit backup and Condescend backup. I think I'll run this into a potential Prohibit and then hope they counter it, because I can't play around Condescend or Exclude in any way regardless. They might block here, that likely means Lightning Bolt follow up or something, or Pulse of Morasa set up. So if they want to bolt this, then Blastoderm is going to resolve. And if they counter this, my Looting Mandrill stays alive. Okay, yeah, exactly. It's still bad for me, but at least I get to resolve this. Yeah, their draw is pretty much perfect. They interacted with me, killed all of my creatures, wow. Then found Tron with a nice mix of Tron lands and colored mana, and then had multiple card advantage engines to follow it up so that they don't run out of cards. So I think I'm pretty much dead here. This matchup seems pretty awful, though adding some land destruction to my sideboard should be helpful, which I did in comparison to the previous version that 5-0'd. I have Thorn of the Black Rose now, which the original deck creator did not, and also have Rancid Earth. Still pretty difficult to win this matchup, but yeah, we'll see. I dead-weighted their Moldrifter, even though it's not that important, because the way that they decided to not block made it look a lot like they have Ghostly Flicker. Yeah, they are playing this pretty aggressively, definitely. So either they have Rolling Thunder in their hand and want to set up a kill by getting some Moldrifter chip damage in, or they are Ghostly Flickering their Moldrifter. Well, this looks like Moment's Peace. Yeah, pretty hopelessly lost here. Moment's Peace also the perfect counter to Blastoderm, because if they get fogged for a few turns, then they just end up dying at the end of that chain. Sure. I'm just going to concede if my next few spells are countered and not let you suffer through this, though I guess some Tron players are prone to timing out. We'll see. But yeah, this seems like a matchup that you want to avoid. Well, Lightning Bolts usually are pretty mismatched to this deck. They're not great removal spells when all of my creatures basically have some sort of 4 toughness. Putrid Leech is a little bit vulnerable to Lightning Bolt in the turn where you would try to pump it. They can respond with Bolt. But yeah, they're already going to be locking my creatures out with Moment's Peace. So yeah, basically Moment's Peace and the Mystical Teachings flashback that they have available is already enough to beat the draw that I currently have on the board. Yeah, Pauper Tron, even if you have stable internet, it's pretty demanding. Like, I'm hugely opposed to Rolling Thunder in the deck, and like I think it's a pretty bad card, and you should probably not have it in your deck. But the downside is you time out a lot more if you have 0 Rolling Thunder rather than 1 Rolling Thunder. So it's like, it would be just training wheels, but it ends up being necessary for the clock management. So actually, you probably need to have one, even though I hate that the card is necessary. Okay, so these 9 all seem interesting to me. Destroy some of the lands to keep them off of Tron, even though that's not as important of an aspect of this deck as, for example, Modern Tron. It's just like a blue-red-green control deck with some mana advantage sometimes, but they can still crush me without the Tron being assembled. And then like Grim Harvest gives me more material, Thorn gives me card advantage, Duress lets me fight through the counters potentially, Spellbomb attacks their flashback and Pulse of Murasa engine. And then let's throw out these Blastoderms because they just die to Moment's Peace while not getting any damage in, and also does go away after not doing any damage. And then also they are pretty vulnerable to exclude because they're my most clunky of all the creatures and not even worth the effort. Like, at least Thorn of the Black Rose is game winning when it resolves. And cut all the removal because I need to be the beatdown deck and hopefully run them over. And then I guess Leaf Crown Dryad is like a nice attempt at it. Not really a 2-for-1, but I can potentially like suit up a Satyr Wayfinder with a Leaf Crown Dryad. Then it becomes a threat by itself, and if the Satyr gets killed, then the Dryad itself can still get some chip damage in. So I think I like that more than any of the cards that I just boarded out. It's kind of competing with the last Blastoderm, but I think I prefer the setup. Okay, yeah, hand looks reasonable. Once again, I'm super vulnerable to like resolving my enabler and then my first creature getting countered. But at least if I'm drawing out some counter spells out of my opponent's hand, the Thorn of the Black Rose is more likely to resolve, which is my highest impact card, so still a lot of potential in this. Once again, I think my second green is still more important so that I can... Like, second green really helps with the Vessel of Nascency so that I can play and sacrifice it in the same turn. Same thing for, like, Commune with the Gods into Satyr Wayfinder or something, though that's a 4-mana play already. But double black is necessary for Rancid Earth, so there's some upside to both of them. Pretty difficult decision already. I do have more vessels than I do have Rancid Earth, but the Rancid Earth is the higher payoff, and I can still vessel on one turn, then crack it on the next turn, potentially. Yeah, I think there's enough green enablers in the deck that I have to go for double green. But also, like, Duress plus a follow-up creature, it costs me double black. Yeah, it's not that easy. Okay, my instinct says black, but it's super close, and regardless of which way I do it, both of them could end up backfiring, basically. Okay, I think I'll main phase the Grisly Savage so I don't run into a counter. Like Dispel especially. And let's take the highest impact creature. Though I guess this Satyr Wayfinder allows me to get to my second Delve threat quicker. But then this is a standalone threat. And I think I'll fill my graveyard just by interacting with my opponent. Like if I Putrid Leech, they Flame Slash it or something, and then they counter my Thorn of the Black Rose. Whatever, my graveyard is going to be filling up naturally. Okay, so with the second force being drawn, it ends up not mattering either way. So even though this eats up a ton of graveyard resources, I will slam my... I'll get the triple green, I think. I'll slam my Garmic Angler because it's the only one that dodges Flame Slash. And once it's on the board, it's pretty annoying for my opponent to deal with. Basically, they have to bounce it, and they only have one capsize. Most likely. Well, with some ability to tutor it up. But still, resolved Garmic Angler is pretty painful. They will likely have to use some Seagate Oracles or something to block it for a few turns. And if they tap out for Seagate, then I'm more likely to resolve Thorn. Okay, they just used double burn spell. Leech plus Angler. Leech plus Angler. Why not Leech plus Angler? I'm not sure. Maybe that was better? Yeah, probably that was better. I think I just overlooked it by miscounting by one. I thought I was 1 mana short. No, actually I couldn't Leech plus Angler, right? Because I think I was 1 mana short. Wasn't I? No, I have 2 cards left that I could use for... No, I think I was 1 mana short because the reason that I have 2 mana left over is because I used Evolving Wilds. But then I have an untapped land instead of a Delve card. Yeah, actually I think I had Exactsies, but I thought I was 1 mana short. This looks new, or just like bugged out at the moment if I don't... Yeah, I thought I was 1 mana short and I wasn't. No idea why your post is not approved though. Wait, what? Oh no, never mind, now it works. Okay. Yeah, monarching his face definitely seems good. That was my game plan all along. So yeah, they ended up not having a 1-for-1 answer for the Angler, which was pretty obvious, but now we got 2 Flame Slashes out of their hand, which is great. And also I resolved the Monarch. So now I really like my position. This is a pretty crushing advantage. And they missed their land drop, so yeah. Should be pretty GG from here. I mean, they can still potentially go like land, go over the top with the Flicker Engine, buy themselves some time with Moment's Peace. It's not impossible for them to come back, but it's definitely a difficult spot for them. And I'll put a lot of pressure on them. Sure. Yeah, this should be too slow if they're spending their entire turn on it. They would need to have a 1 mana interactive card on top of it, so unless there's a 3rd Flame Slash, they're pretty screwed. I guess Lightning Bolt the Leech could work if I play into it. Because then they bolt in response to pumping. But I can also decide to not pump it. Yeah, it is like playing Affinity a little bit, yeah. You end up more vulnerable to Graveyard Hate, but very few people are playing Graveyard Hate, and you end up less vulnerable to like Ancient Grudges and Gorilla Shamans and all that stuff. So that seems like a pretty smart metagame call at the moment, though you are vulnerable to the Galvanic Blast decks. Make them have the bolt. 7 cards in hand. That's probably alright to make them have the bolt. They shouldn't be playing too many of them. And if they had a bolt in hand 2 turns earlier, they would have likely Flame Slash plus bolted instead of double Flame Slash. So that's another reason for it to be unlikely for them to have it. Yeah, so it worked out for me. Yeah, I think with this being their play on turn 2, we can deduce by that fact that it was turn 3 maybe? Yeah, it was turn 3 after turn 2 Prophetic Prism, of course. But yeah, we can like figure out that they didn't have bolt a few turns earlier, and then they saw some new card, but they only have like 2 bolts in the deck, or maybe 1. So I think getting this extra damage in is worth it. And Angler it up. Hope I don't get Swirling Sandstormed. Don't feel like I need to show this Nihil's Album yet. If they pull something Rasa there, Modrifter, that should end up being too slow. If they hit Tron here, then that could end up being annoying though. Didn't Rover Horror? No. Oh, they're that deck. Okay, that's pretty scary. Especially because I don't have removal in my deck anymore. Though my Nihil's Realm does disrupt the graveyard loop. But it's pretty annoying for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I do still have basics in my deck. So we can take Terramorphic just to get an extra card into the graveyard and thin out our deck. Check exile for base. Oh yeah. Yeah, but I didn't mill any. I was still correct. But yeah, that is a good thing to point out. Root Horn Dignitary, I agree. It is pretty rude. They should stop trying to kill me with that. Okay, now it's time for the Nihil Spellbomb so that I can catch the Ghostly Flicker. And I'll keep up the black so that I can draw the card if they do Ghostly Flicker. Though most likely I'm still holding the Spellbomb until there's a Mnemonic Wall. Just let them flicker and have it chilling in the graveyard because they don't really have an instant speed way of recurring it. So I can wait for a sorcery speed attempt of recurring it. Yeah, that is bad for me though. Like by not hating out the graveyard here, I'm only losing like a single black mana while already flooding out. But I'm gaining the fact that if they have to follow up with Ghostly Flicker instead of a wall, then I can potentially pick off 2 Ghostly Flickers instead of exiling the first one and then they follow up with Flicker and then I don't have an answer to the second one. They can probably realistically mill me out, considering I'm self-milling myself pretty aggressively and also have the Monarch on the board and don't have great ways of dealing with this block. But that's the world we live in, I guess. Just put them to the test every turn to come up with another Fog, either Moment's Peace or Ghostly Flicker, and then hope that my Nihil Spellbomb is enough to disrupt the Flicker lock. Because at the very least their counter magic is no longer effective. My board is already big enough to threaten to kill them every turn, and my Nihil Spellbomb is already resolved. Now they do have Tron though, so 8 mana available to them. I think I'll make sure that this sticks around by not casting it end of turn. Not that I really have anything great to get, right? No, I don't. Okay, so Moment's Peace. Don't want to keep a creature back, so if they block 4, 8, 12, 13, block and capsize or something, then I only have 9. Yeah, I guess the Square Bear has to attack, so that I don't allow my opponent to stay alive with like a single capsize. This forces them to Moment's Peace, or Teachings, I guess, for a Moment's Peace, which allows me to get another card out of their graveyard. Yeah, that's pretty great for me, because now the first Nihil Spellbomb gets a Ghostly Flicker out of the deck forever, as well as 2 flashback cards. Yeah, can't really ask for much more out of a Nihil Spellbomb. And the second one is right on time, because now my opponent is tapped out and I can resolve it while they are tapped out. But yeah, severe risk of dying to decking. Probably don't even want to cast this Hater Wayfinder. Probably do want to cast the Soothing Mandrakes though, to make sure that I don't lose my Monarch. I don't know. Could have tapped even more mana for it. Now I still have the access to Grim Harvest to preserve a little bit of mana on my main phase, but pretty low impact upside to exiling those cards. Have to hope my opponent whiffs pretty hard. Though I guess all of their like engines with Mnemonic Wall and Ghostly Trigger rely on the graveyard, so a resolved Naya spell was pretty difficult to beat. Am I just dying to Rolling Thunder or something here? Usually Stonehorn Dignitary versions are like band colored and don't have access to red, so actually pretty surprised by my opponent's version of this. They're like Jeskai, I guess, or 4-color. I guess I technically haven't seen any green cards yet, so they might just be Jeskai. So that they get access to red removal instead of no removal and then some Pyroblasts. But they lose out on the Pulse of Murasa Engine and some nice green sideboard cards, for example, against Boggles. Or, no, wait, they have Moment's Peace, of course. Okay, they're playing a defensive Rolling Thunder. Sure. Well, they get to be the Monarch for a single turn, but then I'm threatening to kill them, so they need another Moment's Peace out of hand. Sure. So I guess I'll get my Thorn of the Black Rose back so that I get to Monarch even if they do Moment's Peace. Though maybe Monarching is just... Well, I probably need to do it so that they are not the Monarch, but it does help them mill me out. So there was definitely some risk attached to it. Okay, so Dignitary is super annoying, but I don't have great ways of dealing with it. I guess I can like have Trainer's Edict still in my deck, so that if they have Dignitary as their only creature, I get to get rid of it as well. What would I be cutting for that though? Maybe some State of Wayfinders or something, and the Leaf Crown died. They'll probably State of Wayfinders like better than the other enablers, because it does offer a creature body. Well, Grisly Salvage and Commune allow me to take creatures, so they are better because they can fill the graveyard with stuff, and then, yeah, State of Wayfinder is like the only one that can't take anything of substance. It allows me to make my land drops, but it doesn't allow me to take these into my hand if I hit them off of the reveal. Sure. Okay, let's try this. Though drawing the Trainer's Edict into my hand is pretty awkward and not something I'm interested in. Milling it into my graveyard, then it has some value to keep me from being locked out of the game in the late game. Okay, hand looks a little clunky, but pretty nice. Have different angles of attack in terms of disruption already. And I can set up an angler, which is very difficult for them to deal with. Okay, Thorn is also very nice, though I would prefer to have an untapped land here at some point, so I can get this Werebear onto the board, then I can crack Vessel of Nascency in the turn where I play Terramorphic. Damn, not that lucky. So, Vessel... No, Vessel doesn't seem great here. That's Duress. Like, I could crack Vessel next turn, but I would rather play Werebear than crack Vessel for my third land. Like, this allows me to hit my third land drop, but this accelerates me. Multiple red spells. And 2 out of 3 Tron pieces already. I guess I'll just take the Rolling Thunder. Mystical Teachings. Can take their teachings and then they can't find Flicker and Moment's Peace anytime soon, as well as counters. Flame Slash I don't care about at all, so it's basically between teachings to disrupt them from finding the combo piece that they really need, against Rolling Thunder to take one of their late game options away and make it more difficult for them to close out the game while they're locking me out. Though, as I said, milling me out, especially if I do become the Monarch, is a pretty easy plan for my opponent. Pretty close. Yeah, teachings. They are pretty far away from Rolling Thunder, especially if I do end up resolving a Rancid Earth. Yeah, Yeah, I think I like taking teachings, I agree. Though, like, exiling Rolling Thunder has some value to it as well. If it's gone from their deck forever, well, that gives them access to Rolling Thunder. That's pretty annoying, because that was their second red source that they didn't have yet. Pretty great draw for my opponent. Damn. That's not good. It's not good at all. Because Werebear just dies to Flame Slash. Well, I do care about Flame Slash if I have to rely on Werebear, so that's actually pretty bad. Maybe I was just supposed to take that, but that also seems pretty awful. Okay, I'll Spellbomb them, I think. Well, Spellbomb is so great against their like Flicker locks, but if they hit Tron, I'm also super screwed against the... Yeah, I think I want to sack and try to find my third land, but this is a high risk line. Damn it. I don't like my spot here. They hit Tron right away. Well, now it's good that I got rid of their their teachings before they could flash it back, because the cards that they have in their hand are pretty awkward. Creature or enchantment. Yeah, this gives me lands, so let's do that. Okay, but yeah, missing multiple land drops and them finding Tron pretty much right away was pretty bad for me. Puka Bog, wow, that's awesome. Opponent just top decking like a god. The matchup is already pretty great for them, but yeah, they top deck like this, like find their second red source right away, find Tron right away, then the one-off that hits my graveyard. It's pretty devastating. Well, I guess we YOLO Rancid Earth. Hope that that gets them off of Tron. Never target the tower, though I guess it's less of a concern against my... Well, no, it's still a concern. They have Expedition Map, because then if they search up an extra piece, then the tower comes into play untapped. If they have to Expedition Map off of this, then potentially their tower ends up tapped. So you never blow up the tower unless you know that they have extra pieces of the other ones in hand. So I guess I Vessel and try to find my what the hell? This is awful. I missed on the Vessel, and there's a Grim Harvest in my graveyard now, so that means whenever I play a creature on this board, I lose my Grim Harvest because I currently don't have the mana to recover it. Well, they hit extra Tron pieces and they are duplicates. That's the one nice thing happening here. But they can still likely play a 7th land and then Rolling Thunder down my Gurmag Angler. Still seems better than to run any of my weaker creatures into their Flame Slash. Do lose the Grim Harvest that way. Maybe they just... yeah, okay, at least it's not Exclude, but just Essence Scatter. That's slightly better for me, though. Still feel like I'm getting crushed. Come on, Throne of the Black Rose. You can do it. Okay, so 2 cards in their hand that I know about and 2 that I don't. Let's hope none of those counters a creature. Nice. Well, that helps. Still scary. Oh, they reassembled Tron and have the 4th Prophet. Oh my god. Yeah, that draw's pretty sick. 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well, they're still a little bit away from Rolling Thundering me out, but 15 mana with Rolling Thunder in hand is definitely not the spot that I want to be in. I guess my Grim Harvest is still here, because they ended up countering one of my creatures and then didn't kill this Thorn of the Black Rose while I was tapped out. It's pretty interesting. I'll hold on to this duress, I think, for now. Let them do a little bit more cantripping, and then if I have something I really need to resolve, I'll duress. I'm not sure. Or like at the moment where it's more likely for me to resolve it, so that I can actually snag the Rolling Thunder. But yeah, I can't be sitting around on the duress too long, because then I'll just get Rolling Thundered out. God damn it. That's disgusting. I need my second spell bomb pretty desperately, and even that might not do the trick. Also, my time situation is pretty bad, because I spent so much time on figuring out these turns. Rancid Earth. Not bad. Well, their flyer stealing my Monarch would be awful, though. Not that I can do much about it. Well, I guess we're aggressively trading the Monarch back and forth, and I hope my opponent doesn't prevent the combat damage when I try to steal it back. That has to be the plan. Let's duress them and hope it doesn't get countered, so I can take this Rolling Thunder before dying to it. Okay, so leave them with the Flame Slash and 2 useless lands. Okay, that's actually not as bad as I expected. Then there's no point in blowing any of the any of the Tron lands up. I decided to put it Leech over Mandrills because I don't want to make my Werebear smaller. This puts the most amount of power onto the board so that attacking is awkward for my opponent. They held on to the expedition map. God damn it. What the hell, opponent? Like, they keep being in like awful positions and then top decking the exact card that they need multiple turns in a row. Now I'm super screwed. God damn it. Yeah, there goes my Grim Harvest. Not that I really need that anymore. Yeah, now I'm just losing to the capsize. Like, they were screwed and then they drew Tron piece into Tron piece. They were screwed and then they drew Seagate into Forbidden Alchemy into Muldrifter for like 5 cards of card advantage. And then their hand was completely useless and they found capsize with 6 Tron pieces on the board. That's pretty disgusting. And I don't really have many ways of disrupting it anymore. All I can do is like flood the board every turn and then hope to somehow overload their mana, but yeah. And I guess I can hope that they sacrifice their expedition map at some point and expose themselves to my land destruction. Because like blowing up a Tron piece that they can just search up. Well, I guess they just search up a power plant now and then they're protected from LD anyways. Yeah. No, they got tower. Okay, that's slightly nice for me. Okay, I'm super dead. Well, matchup feels like a pain. I think I was pretty close to winning game 3, but they ended up top decking out of it really well. My opponent's deck is well set up to top deck as